Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Two Guys, One Roto show brought to you by Fantasy Six Pack. All right, no more drafts, no more rankings. We finally get real baseball tomorrow. So today we are previewing something, way more important. How the season is going to go. Fantasy baseball season, how it's going to go, and how it's going to play out. Rich, your thoughts?
Yeah, we're previewing everyone's favorite topics. Basically, we're going through breakouts, bust, league winners. We're going to mark this down. I think this is going to be exciting to revisit and see how we do around the All-Star break, maybe.
Yeah, totally agree. So, like Rich said, with opening day upon us, this is our 2026 Fantasy Baseball Preview show. This will be the stuff that actually decides your seasons. And we're definitely saving the receipts here, folks, so we can revisit them, like Rich said, probably around mid-season and see how we're doing.
And today, we're joined by our favorite NL East correspondent, Mr. Scott Shields.
Hello,
howdy.
Scott. How are you, sir?
Howdy.
All right. So with no further ado, we're going to roll right into it. First thing we're starting with is basically like not our favorite player necessarily, but our most commonly rostered player. So if you play in multiple leagues, as many people do, the player that you crash landed by on purpose or by on accident, by on purpose is not a phrase. So anyway, that's the plan here. So who do you have, Mr. Scott? You're our guest. Go ahead with your most rostered player, sir.
My most rostered player this year, same as my most rostered player last year.
Right.
He's come up, I think, in every single one of my appearances on 2G1R. Taylor Ward, just metronome guy. Not the ceiling is what it is, the floor is what it is. Just love the guy, man.
Yeah. No, he's you know what Taylor Ward is. So I'm old, for those of you who can't tell by my gray hair and whatever. So he is. I was working for Office Depot when selling computers, selling technology, and that kind of thing. When USB was introduced to the world, Universal Serial Bus, and they talked about it'll be plug and play. All devices will work to use the same USB plug-in. Which ironically now there's 8 million different USBs and none of them work together. But the point being, that's Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward is USB, like original USB. You just plug and play. Like he's never going to be anything different. He's never going to break out. He's just Taylor Ward. So that's fine. All right, Rich, what do you got for your most rostered player, sir?
He's solid, but he's good. He's a good player.
Yep.
I've been frustrated that Scott has been in our league as long as he has because I've never had any shares of Taylor Ward, but that's our home league. So I find myself this season, I wouldn't have thought this going in, but I think my most rostered player has been Jorge Polanco. And I just think he's been a really good value. He's pretty low, I think, on a lot of people's radar, not particularly sought after in the drafts I've been participating in. Probably more of a points league asset than Roto, but even there he should contribute in 4 of the 5 categories. He's not a big steals guy. But I think second base is really shallow. I think there's maybe 4 or 5 like solidly good players, and the rest are a bit of a crapshoot. Polanco's currently projected to hit 4th in the middle of a solid lineup. I don't know if he'll stay there all season. Could be in the 5th, 6th range even, but right now he's behind Lindor, Soto, Bo Bichette. Doesn't seem like he's going to be platooned. I don't care about Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos on the roster. He was 83rd percentile in batting run value via Savant last year. I think you're going to get like a 265, 25, 80 season from him, maybe 70 runs. I think he's a fantastic value. So I've been walking away from a lot of drafts.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Polanco at second base, it's interesting because at second base, he's going to play first base for the Metropolitan.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even touch on that. So you'll get
he's
a multi-position.
But yeah, eligible at second. And totally agree. For second base is, I think, easily the worst, the least whatever valuable or least options at second base. The worst is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
In fantasy this year, I don't think it's especially close. So Polanco's a sneaky value there. I agree. All right. So my most rostered player is I'm going to go with who's Elvis, guys? What's Elvis?
I saw that on the sheet.
What's Elvis known as? What's Elvis Presley? What's he known as?
Yes, sir.
This is not a trick question. First thing that comes to mind. Elvis Presley is the king.
Yeah.
The king.
King. So all hail the king. My most rostered player is Andrew Vaughn. I have him in precisely 100% of the leagues in which I participate, which granted, I'm not one of these people who does 20 different leagues, but the leagues I am in, I have them in all of them. I don't know how I ended up here, but I'm glad that I did. He's fun, maybe. I'm not really sure, but this is fun, Rich. Hear me out on this one. I know you can't stand Andrew Vaughn, but just deal with it. He has 37 batted ball events this spring, right? And I know you're going to rail against his BABIP and that kind of stuff, so this is why I'm citing the stats I am. 37 batted ball events this spring, which is a hair over 10% of his total batted ball events last year. 95.7 average exit velocity, 112 max, and a 62.2% hard hit rate, which is almost 3 percentage points better than Kyle Schwarber's was last year, who led the league. So is he going to do that for the entire season? Of course not. But maybe Andrew Vaughn is actually a thing. I don't know. It's interesting. He also has the same birthdays. I don't know if that helps in any way, but I'm just sharing that information. So all hail the king, Andrew Vaughn.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, we're moving along, folks. We're going to move into our next subjects. Now, our next subjects is kind of everybody's favorite topics. We're going to start with breakouts, and then we'll move into some other similar type stuff. But breakouts, what do you got, Mr. Scott?
I mean, this is just an absolute cheat answer. You guys are going to groan so hard. But the answer is Drake Baldwin.
Drake Baldwin, okay.
Taylor Ward.
Yeah.
Drake Baldwin. I know that the breakout's already kind of begun, but, Sean Murphy starting the season on the shelf. Drake Baldwin once again getting the run of the clubhouse, but this time with, a spring training, leading up, getting super familiar with the arms, which is crazy because I'm not even super familiar with who the arms on the Brave staff are going to be, at least to start the season.
Right.
I think I've got a missed voicemail from Alex Anthopoulos in my phone.
Right.
I don't know what's going on, but nonetheless, jokes aside, obviously, I mean, we all know the StatCast page looks like a Christmas tree in Darth Vader's house. It's all red. It's all glowing.
Right.
It's wonderful.
He's
a very mature kid.
I've never heard that.
Very mature kid. Great. The staff has already raved about him as a catcher, as a gamesman, and all those sorts of things. So I just think it's all there, and he's been hot in spring training. Just looks like he's just ready to just be one of those
dude.
top that dude, just one of those top few catchers, like the Real Mutos and Sal Perez's of the last decade. That's just you just get that guy, and kind of like that, you just know what you're gonna get. He's gonna be the guy, and let it rip. So
yeah, I totally agree. Drake Baldwin is, if you're playing a straight dynasty format where it's just you don't have to surrender the player ever unless you care to, Drake Baldwin is 100% a guy you plug in a catcher for the next decade at least. You don't and just leave him there. Just don't ever think about it ever. Drake Baldwin is phenomenal. I actually am ready to call a shot here, Scotty, that you'll like. Drake Baldwin finishes the season in points leagues anyway as the number one fantasy catcher, number one overall. Ahead of Connelly, ahead of everybody. Drake Baldwin is that good. And I don't know if I've shared this fun fact on the show earlier in this offseason when we were doing bold predictions about the Braves, for example, but I have to share it now. Drake Baldwin, I believe, I'm going off memory, so bear with me, but I believe it was his junior year of college, led his conference in, I think, both home runs and RBI, which good for him. That's not all that surprising. He was a high draft pick, and now he's a wonderful baseball player, so big deal. He led his conference, no big deal, right? Except for in his junior year of high school, in the great state of Wisconsin, where he grew up, Drake Baldwin led his team in goals, as in hockey goals, as in playing on ice. So that's the fun thing about Drake Baldwin. He's a hockey catcher and not a goalie. So anyway, there you go. Drake Baldwin. All right, enough about Drake Baldwin. Rich Sayre, what do you got, sir?
I'm going to tell you about a guy I've told you about a few times already. So strap in, but I think you need to hear it. Maybe take a couple times to get through to everybody. I'm going to talk about Jack Caglianone. I think he's going to have maybe the most home runs in the AL this season. I've said that before in the past. When you look at him as a player, he had the type of hype. He was pretty much on par with Nick Kurtz last season before they came up. Nick Kurtz took off at the major leagues. Cags didn't quite, and I think that's going to give you a tremendous buying opportunity here. He's got 80 raw power. What you don't always realize is he's got better contact than a lot of these huge power guys with these big swings. You got the fences moving in KC. I think all the ingredients are there for a huge breakout, and that's my pick for this category.
Yeah.
I think 40 home runs is easy. I think you could get up to 50.
40 home runs is easy, this guy just said. Hank Aaron, I think, hit 40 home runs 6 times in his career. He was the all-time home run leader until, 20 years ago. 40 home runs is easy, this guy just said.
We got to talk about also the juiced ball. That's something
there is, yes, that is true.
Season, so
certainly appears to be a mighty juiced ball in spring training. We'll see if that holds over to the regular season. But anyway. But Cags, and you probably would still, to your point, Rich, you could, it's a good buying opportunity in keeper dynasty formats, etc. Still going to probably have a hard time prying him away, but in redraft, you can get him super cheap and go do it now before he hits 11 tanks in April or something crazy.
For sure. Even dynasty, I think you might have people that are not 100% bought in.
Right.
You hear about buying high sometimes. I don't even think you're at that level. But
I agree.
It definitely has another gear. I fully recommend you see what you can do as far as getting him on your roster.
Makes sense. All right, so we've entered the Lord portion of the show. Like, we'll never be Royals. Because mine is Maikel Garcia. And I'm picking him as a breakout pick. Now, he just posted a 5.3 win season. 5.3 Fangraphs win season. But I'm going for it. He's coming off a career year, right? Wrong. Maikel Garcia finishes the season as an AL MVP finalist. Finalist, as in top 3. He resets career highs in literally every single category and finishes with 8 Fangraphs wins. So that's my pick for a breakout. Maikel Garcia, MVP candidate. Can't recommend him highly enough. And particularly in Yahoo, I just joined my first Yahoo league, which I'm sure the folks at Yahoo are wonderful. I would recommend Fantrax. We'll not get into that specifically. But in Yahoo, he is eligible at all kinds of positions. He's eligible at second, third, short, and outfield. So that's super handy in deeper formats, or even in shallower formats, even, especially if you're in a daily league. So Maikel Garcia breaking out. So there you go. All right, our next.
I'll say just one other thing, because we talked about this in some way in one of our other shows.
Yeah.
And to support your point of, he already broke out last year, maybe not. He's always hit the ball hard, obviously, tremendous contact ability. Go take a look at, viewers at home, go take a look at Jose Ramirez age 25 season, and then take a look at the rest of the seasons, and then jump over to Maikel Garcia's page. There could be something there.
Yeah. No, let's hope that our friend Eric Pulse is not watching today's show. But totally agree. Maikel Garcia, potentially a superstar, frankly. Mr. Scotty, let's go to our next segment, which is going to be our bust / maybe we're not bust because we're not, most of us are not drafting anymore, but overvalued players is maybe a better way of putting that. What do you got, Scotty?
So overvalued player, this one's going to get a lot of eye rolls, I'm sure. But for me, it's Pete Alonso. Okay. The power metrics, obviously, they're good. And in fact, if you look at a StatCast page, they're actually as good as they've been his entire career. But the plate discipline metrics are leaking a little bit. His walk rate has dropped. The K rate's kind of starting to falter a little bit. There's just some signs of decline there. And then here's my thing. And if my friend, one of my closest friends in the world, Dylan, who is a diehard Mets fan, was listening to this, he would literally come to my house and fight me. He's just the corniest player in all of baseball. And I think that worked in New York. He was kind of just that guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it works in Baltimore. I mean, obviously, so Baltimore does have their, the white boy factory, the curly-headed white boy factory.
Right.
And so maybe it works, but I just think that just his whole shtick just doesn't work. I think there was the whole thing. Remember the home run derby, and he's got to be the all-star pick for the Mets.
The shirtless and the whole thing.
That stuff is just, it's too lame. It's too goofy. There's a lot of pressure in Baltimore right now. I just think, and say, it's not harder to play in Baltimore than it is in New York. I'm not saying that. He was kind of like the release valve for the New York pressure, because everyone's like, oh, that's just our goofy, lovable guy. Well, Baltimore, he's got to hit tanks. He cannot be striking out as much as he's probably going to. He can't play defense. I mean, just an abysmal defender.
Yep.
So unless he gets to 50 homers, like, he's going to have some serious questions to answer. Okay. And I don't think he has the mental fortitude to handle it. So
Interesting. So Pete Alonso, first of all, Scott, you kind of beat me to it, but I'm just going to belabor the point. This is the first time in recorded history that somebody said that they can handle the New York pressure and can't handle the Baltimore pressure. So there's that.
I see what he's saying.
No, from a stats standpoint, I totally agree. I'm strictly talking about the newspaper article or newspaper beat writers and whatever. Like they can't handle the crab cakes apparently. So, and then the other thing is that 2 of our last 3 players have been Gators. I don't know what that means, but it doesn't mean nothing. So, but no, I totally agree. Actually, when I did my off-season Pete Alonso, I don't know if it was like a veterans to sell article or something like that, but point was Pete Alonso, Rich, you're going to hate this because you like Pete Alonso or whatever, but there are an awful lot of parallels to Chris Davis. Like includes a big contract and everything.
No, I didn't
want to go there.
So the Chris Davis issue is that they took away the Adderall. Well, whether that was viable or not, that's the issue with him.
Yes, that's true.
I don't see the same thing with Alonso. I don't have I think he's a fine player. I don't think he's going to be a fantastic player 6 years from now, and that's what people get stuck on with this contract. I really don't care about that for this.
No, season. I agree with that. Baltimore was in their window right now. Yeah. They need pun very much intended. They need to swing for the fences. Yeah. And they did, and we'll see if it works out. It won't. Okay. Moving on to your overvalued.
But I think Scott has an interesting point. Like, I never thought about it from the perspective of maybe they have a really rough April and things get sour in Baltimore. So that's something interesting to watch.
That is interesting. I had a conversation, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, kind of a quick conversation on Twitter about somebody's bold prediction was that the Orioles would struggle and they would trade Adley Rutschman. And my counter to it was that if the Orioles are that bad, Adley Rutschman doesn't have any trade value or doesn't have enough trade value to warrant trading him and seeing him return to form somewhere else. Yeah. So maybe then I can trade Pete Alonso, but you get the point. Anyway, all right, we've talked about Pete Alonso way too much. What do we got, Rich, for a overvalued player, sir?
I'm going to go to another name that you might have heard me talk about a little bit. I'm going to go Trey Yesavage. Maybe this fade or overvalue tag is picking up a little steam now that he's hit the IL with the shoulder thing. I actually don't even know if that's real or not. Like, real. They're definitely going to manage his innings. This could be one of the vehicles to that. But for me, when we went over our fades in starting pitchers earlier in the offseason, there's a few issues with him. The fastball is not very good. I generally don't like pitchers that only have one good pitch and it's not a fastball. You got downside issues with the command. You got downside issues with the arm injury history, pre-draft specifically, and potentially now. And, just if you want to take a look at a cautionary tale for the way that this could go, what I mean by that is a splitter-heavy pitcher with a mediocre fastball and not a lot else in the arsenal. You can see and some injury issues. Maybe you can take a look at what's happening with Roki Sasaki today, because it's physically not a great comparison. Arsenal wise, what they got in the bag and what they're dealing with, maybe with the arm. I think there's a lot of parallels there.
Interesting. Yeah, we had a little bit of conversation with a friend of ours about this via text the other day about, you mentioned that same comp, Sasaki versus Yesavage, and I guess my counter to that would simply be, although it's a small sample and all that, whatever, but my counter to that would be that at least Yesavage has proven that he can throw in, he can make major league hitters out. He was certainly a revelation down the stretch in the playoffs last year. Although Sasaki was good at the bullpen for the Dodgers, but that's an even smaller sample size.
Good. He wasn't that great. There's got to be an injury there. We're getting on the Sasaki now. In my opinion, there's got to be an injury there. He was
I
so
disagree.
good.
I just don't think he's that good.
He was so good in Japan. I think you're really selling that short.
Anyway, we don't need to get into Sasaki too much, but I think he's a short pitcher who throws a splitter. That's not a good combination. Major league hitters can just lay off. So anyway, we'll see. All right, enough. Yesavage, incidentally, Scott went to East Carolina University, so I think you deserve some sort of rebuttal there on his behalf, but that'll have to wait because we got to talk about another player. All right, so my overvalued, I guess we're calling it, player is Jose Altuve. And I've talked about him ad nauseum, but I'm going to talk about him more ad nauseum because he's okay. That didn't make any sense. He's so washed, guys. He's so washed. Someone help me out here, please. I'm going to set you guys up. Somebody help me out. Dude is so washed.
How washed is he?
Oh, wow. In unison. Love it. Thank you. He's so washed that even Clorox said he doesn't need their services.
I regret.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't. All right. He's coming off a spring where he's spring training, whatever, but no contact is no contact. He struck out 34.1% of the time. Like even Spencer Jones is like, come on, man. And then he posted a -5 WRC plus in the spring. Again, small sample size, but negative WRC pluses don't particularly portend good things. Everyone's already drafted, presumably, so I guess this is obviously like trade advice, especially in Dynasty. Get out while you still can. Get something for him and move on. We talked earlier about Polanco being a value at second base. Obviously, I wouldn't do Altuve straight up for a Polanco just because you could definitely pull more, but do Altuve for a Polanco in a piece. Do that. Yes. Do that all day long. So Altuve is so washed. So, all right. Real quick before we get into our next set of players, I just want to mention Fantrax. I mentioned him earlier. I'll mention him again. Fantrax is the number one site for hosting your fantasy leagues, whether it's obviously baseball, and I'm sure you all do, but it's football, hockey, basketball, whatever you name it. Fantrax is the place to go. If you go to fantrax.com/fantasy6pack, sign up today. It is the number one platform. Scott and Rich, real quick, any thoughts on Fantrax?
Love it.
Fantastic.
Perfect. There you go. Brevity is the soul of wit. Good job, guys. What do we got for our next segment, folks? Is going to be league winners. This is like ceiling guys, right? So we're not just talking about Aaron Judge. We're talking about somebody who's going to exceed so much that, especially, again, you've already drafted, but especially in redraft formats, go get them before they really pop and hit their ceiling. So, Mr. Scott, what do you got for a popcorn ceiling guy?
Same thing as kind of with Drake.
Again, it's Taylor Ward again, isn't it?
It's Taylor Ward again. No, it's my guy, Bryan Wu. Same thing.
He ain't nothing to mess with.
That's right. The breakout has started. It's kind of arrived, but among starting pitchers with at least 10 innings pitched last year, he was top 15 in both stuff plus and pitching plus, which is a value that a metric that I value very highly. The K-BB, all the kind of the under the hood stuff looks really, really good. Pitch shapes are great, and he's on a staff that we trust. And on a staff where
pitching in the best ballpark in baseball.
That's right, the best pitcher's ballpark. A lineup that's. We're not sure. We're not sure exactly what they're going to be, but they're going to be a good baseball team. So there's wins there. There's a fantastic bullpen, so you're not going to have to worry about wins slipping through his fingers. Right. He just has all the makings of a fantasy ace on a staff of fantasy aces. And so, there's something there that kind of adjusts the price, because you go, well, I don't want to be the Bryan Wu guy because there's Logan Gilbert. And, so I get it, but I'll be the Bryan Wu guy. I think, not only is he really good, but woo.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So you get to make Ric Flair references, first of all.
Yeah.
Amen.
Wu, so that's a plus. Rich, the ain't nothing to mess with was a reference to Wu-Tang. Ain't nothing to, I can't say the word, with. And so that was where I was going with that. And none of this matters, but that's what I was saying. So, Rich, you got a ceiling for us, sir? While you're taking a drink?
I do, actually. So another player that I've been pretty high on that I've been happy to talk about as we've been going through the offseason here is going to be Chase Burns. And what a gift that we got over the last week or so. If you were doing your draft last weekend, you got all this noise, all this static right before your draft about, is he going to make the opening day roster? Is he going to be in the rotation? Maybe he's a bullpen guy. Who knows what's going on? And then you did your draft. If you were listening to Two Guys, One Roto, if you were listening to me, you took Chase Burns because he's got NL Cy Young upside. And now he's in the rotation from Big Jump. Fantastic outing today. Last outing of spring training. Best start so far spring training, 5 innings, 2 earned, 7 Ks on 13 whiffs, 0 walks.
Yeah.
Last season, Burns showed us he has great stuff. That's, really not in doubt. I don't think you still have people concerned that he's not got a third pitch. That's generally something I'm concerned about with as well. But the fastball and the slider are just so good that he could Blake Snell his way into a fantastic season. There is a wonderful resource that you are probably familiar with if you're listening to a currently but won't always be obscure baseball podcast show like this one. Pitcher List, run by friend of the show, Nick Pollock. They introduced these pitcher cards for each starter by start this year. It's a super succinct way to get all the info you need at a glance for every pitcher, every start. This is actually not a promo. It sounds like one, but you take a look at these cards. You got grades for stuff. You got grades for location, as our NL East correspondent just mentioned. Location plus, very important. The stuff was not in doubt. I mentioned that already. So far this spring, Burns went from an F grade in his first start in locations, so-so locations last year, C grade in his start on March 13th. His start today, he had an A+ grade, obviously A+ stuff. He's locked in. I think he'll put up the ratios like I mentioned, maybe not the innings. We're still not sure about that, but the ratios for sure to be in the Cy Young talks by the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. The pitcher list is in, like you said, friend of the show, Nick Pollock. A couple things to mention. First of all, those who don't know, Scott, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to share the state you live in. Is that okay? Okay. So, that just makes people might be stalking you from all our fans at Two Guys on Roto. What did we just talk about? Chase Burns. Sorry, Chase Burns and Trey Yesavage were the two pitchers Rich last talked about. Chase Burns went to Wake Forest, also a school in North Carolina. And then Rich is also the one who introduced the North Carolina. I don't know if there's something with the Tar Heels theme going on here. I'm not sure what the deal is, but there's a lot of North Carolina up in this mug. And the other thing was that Chase Burns, friend of the show, Nick Pollock, right? Yes. Friend of the show, Nick Pollock. I don't know if you guys are aware, but that guy has Cam Schlittler ranked 20th among all starting pitchers this year. So I just thought I would share that information. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay. I'm going to go with my ceiling player, and it's a player near and dear to my heart. It is Brice Turang. Platinum glove winner Brice Turang. That matters for fantasy. It doesn't, but it kind of does. Brice Turang. Actually, Brice Turang is a perfect. Now that I think about this a little bit more, Brice Turang. Rich, will you look up his games played for me while I talk for a sec?
Yes, sir.
Brice Turang got the opportunity to develop into the player he's become because of his defense. I always say defense matters in fantasy. He's always been a superlative defender. And because he's a superlative defender, he got the opportunity to play second base full time, and now he may be maturing into something really, really good. Maybe like really good. So fun with small sample size for Brice Turang. Spring training, 23 plate appearances. Spring training, 1110 OPS in spite of a 188 BABIP. I don't know how you possibly do those two things at the same time, but he's doing it. So good job for Brice. Wait, Brice, how you do both those things? Brice Turang. Okay. Also, item 2, his post All-Star break numbers last year. This is a slightly larger sample size, still not a big one, but 63 games played, 308, 380, 536 triple slash, 14 doubles, 12 dingers, a 155 WRC plus. We talked earlier when we were talking about Polanco about how second base is kind of a wasteland. Mm-hmm. I think Brice Turang not only finishes the best second baseman in baseball this year, fantasy baseball this year, maybe in baseball. Well, actually, what I'm about to say, he's definitely a second baseman in baseball. Best second baseman in baseball. Brice Turang, like our friend Maikel Garcia, finishes an NL MVP finalist this season. Partially because he's going to have a good stick, but he's also partially because he plays spectacular defense, and that'll increase his Fangraph WAR and that kind of thing, and his overall value. So, anyway, any quick thoughts on Brice Turang, guys?
Is the power real? I mean, that's
the games. I asked you to look at the games.
Yes, sir.
What's the deal? Is he be getting more run because of his defense or what?
Yeah, I'm very consistent. You're talking about overall games played. He's 155 and 24 and 156 and 25. So yeah, you're racking up the numbers.
Yep, there we go. All right, so our last I don't know, whatever you want to call it, topic of discussion in this segment is going to be in your standard kind of 12-team formats. Like that's what most leagues are. I mean, some are smaller, some are bigger, but 12-team is kind of the average. So potential early ads, like guys I know in one of the Yahoo league I referenced earlier, waivers is running for the first time since the draft tomorrow morning, tonight, or whatever, overnight. So it's your first opportunity to add players. So here's some players in 12-team kind of standard formats that may not have been drafted at all. Got a good opportunity to add a super valuable player on the cheap. Mr. Scott, who you got?
Maikel Soroka. Maple Maddox, Canada.
Calgary. Canada's a whole damn country. Okay, go ahead.
Who cares?
Oh, boy.
USA, baby.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, he had the rookie year. Seemed like he was poised for a fantastic career with the best team in baseball, and the injuries came, and he just couldn't quite. He just has not been able to quite get it all back together. And every time he's been on the mound, either the metrics are there or the stats are there. And so he's just one of those guys that I'm not going to give up on. And he's going to get an opportunity now again, and not in the black hole that is the Chicago White Sox organization. And so, I just think that there's an opportunity there, and he's gonna do what he's always done when he gets the opportunity to pitch, which is pitch well. And we'll be running to the waiver wire to get him.
Soroka has been very vocal about his desire to start games. And he must recognize now at 28 years old, it's probably his last shot to be a starter.
Yep.
Like he's either got to, put up or shut up kind of thing. And so I don't know. Soroka, it's two things about Soroka. One, he has a ridiculously long neck. I don't know if that matters in fantasy, but it's true. And the other thing is I'm going to regale you guys with a quick tale of my personal life. This is true. So get out of the tissue box, even though this is not a sad story at all. I was a Braves season ticket holder for their first 2 seasons at then SunTrust, now Truist Park. They had, Braves like Fan Fest or whatever it's called, the Braves fan thing that they do over the winter, where you get to meet some of the players and whatever. They brought in their top prospects that 1 year. My kid got to play wiffle ball with Ronald Acuna Jr. It was like when Acuna was like 18 or 19 years old. That's actually true. But I that day met Maikel, then Mike, now Maikel Soroka, who nobody knew who Mike Soroka was except for idiots who play ridiculously deep fantasy leagues. And so Soroka, I got to meet him, and I talked to him for a good 10 minutes about the Calgary Flames. Like, that's real true story. We didn't talk any baseball. We talked hockey the whole time, and then I was like, nice to meet you, bye. So there you go. So Maikel Soroka, nice. That's a nice pick. I like that a lot. It's also a 0 opportunity cost pick. He's probably not at the top of most people's waiver runs. So you go grab him, and if he does well early, you won't look at this gem I found. If he doesn't, just pick up somebody else. Not the end of the world. What do you got, Mr. Sayre?
I'm going to talk about Boston Red Sox. Shocker. I'm going to highlight Connelly early. If you didn't bother to take my advice in our pitchers, sleepers, and fade show last episode, you could have scooped up early late in your draft. He was going for around 24, 25 type scenario. Might not go in every draft. Pause the episode right now. Go in, put in a waiver claim. Make sure you come back, but put in an aggressive claim for early. He's still not what I would say locked in for the full season, but we got some great news, some surprising news, actually. I had always assumed the smart roster allocation type move for the Red Sox would be to roll with Oviedo, see what he's got at least through April, March, unless he was blowing up. I think he's got some talent. I always think ultimately he's going to be a middle or towards a later inning type piece on a good major league team. But I was also, like everyone, pretty confident that he would get the last spot in the rotation. I love what I saw from the Red Sox. Forget the conventional wisdom. They like what they saw from early in spring training. And they put him right into the rotation. So there is still a piggyback type situation where Oviedo's in the picture. We'll see how that goes, but it's really Early's job to lose at this point. He's got the velocity increase over the last season or so. He's throwing mid 90s now, throwing 5 pitches at least with very good command. Fantastic value. I think he's going to have a 3.5 or lower ERA. I think he's going to give you wins because the team is pretty good this year, even though they're in kind of a challenging division. So go grab him now. I think he could be a rock in your lineup for the rest of the season.
I totally agree. Do you know Connelly early? Was he high school or collegiate prospect? I actually don't know that off the top of my head. Or do you know, Rich?
Out of college, yeah. I don't
presumably North Carolina school.
Tell you it might actually be.
I have Scott. I don't mean to cut you. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something? No.
No.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, I thought you were trying to get your comment in early. Connelly early, I think, has the upside. I'm going to throw out a ridiculous comp, but it has the upside of being, what if Tom Glavine struck out batters? Like that's, I think he's probably super unlikely. Tom Glavine's a Hall of Famer. He's like not going to be that guy, except for what if he is? So anyway, all right. My pick to click. Let's go with that. My upside play, my waiver wire run, gem, whatever.
That might be taken, but we'll go ahead.
Go ahead. You might be taken.
Pick to click is Fangraphs uses that, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Fangraphs. Sorry about that. I'm sure everybody at Fangraphs is listening to this podcast right now.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm all aboard Team Brew Crew because my pickup for your wire is Brandon Sproat, also a Gator. So Gators well represented on this show. Super quick fun fact before we get to the stats. Brandon Sproat was drafted 3 times. He was drafted in the 7th round out of high school, and then he was drafted in the 3rd round after his junior year. Obviously didn't sign. And then he was drafted in the 2nd round after his senior year and got 1.4 mil. So good for him. Keep cashing them checks, baby. So anyway, classic clandestine example of prospect fatigue. He was a top 50-ish prospect by virtually all publications prior to 2025. He falls to barely in top 100s, sometimes not even in top 100s before 2026 because why? Like he pitched 100 innings of average-ish ball and actually was much better in the second half than he was in the first half at AAA Syracuse in his twice removed draft year. He only struck out basically a batter per inning in his draft plus 2 season. Now he's killing it in the spring. He's going to be the number 3 starter for the team with the 2nd most wins in baseball over the last 3 years in Milwaukee. That seems like a good thing. I think Brandon Sproat legitimately is a dark horse for National League Rookie of the Year because he's going to get the wins and that kind of thing. And he's also going to rack up a bunch of punchies. And I just think Milwaukee is become like, I don't know, I was going to say a pitching factory. They might be the pitching factory, Milwaukee. They just keep turning these dudes into dudes, right? So, yeah, anyway, Brandon Sproat, can't recommend any higher. I don't know which one, given the opportunity, if I only just say for the sake of argument, if I could only grab early or Sproat, I have no idea which one I would grab. That's a tough call that we'll save for a different show. All right.
It's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a toughie. So before we get into, we're going to move on to our next topic. We're going to take a quick break first. We'll be right back, folks. You won't notice because you're on pause. Okay, folks, we're back, and again, you didn't notice because you were paused. It's I've made this reference before, but it's Back to the Future from with Doc's dog, whose name is escaping me. Anyway, the Einstein. That's right. He didn't even notice the change for him was instantaneous. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our lightning round. This is kind of our plant your flag players. We're gonna start with the hill that you'll die on, so to speak. So your player that you're willing to go to bat for, or I guess the opposite. I would be surprised to hear it's the opposite, but let's see what you got, Mr. Scott Shields. What do you got?
I really wrestled with 2 answers, and so I'm going to talk about the one I didn't choose. This is cheating again. I'm going to talk about the one I didn't choose for a second.
It's not possible to talk about the one you didn't choose. You then chose.
Well, that's what I'm doing. So,
okay, all right.
Mute me if you must.
I'll leave the philosophical argument alone. Go ahead.
So briefly, the one I almost chose was Mike Yastrzemski, who obviously with the fact that Jurickson Profar can't seem to figure out which cream he needs to stop putting on his balls. Now he's the guy in left field for the Atlanta Braves. So I think that guy's going to be awesome. I really like him. I think it was a fantastic pickup, and I'm a big fan. The guy I actually chose, Brandon Lowe. I just a guy who, funny, kind of the same but different from Pete Alonso. A guy whose power metrics are, shining through. The power's not going anywhere. The plate discipline metrics have leaked a little bit, but he's getting out of, he got out of Tropicana last year, but he's getting out of Tropicana. Going to a place where there is literally no pressure. The opposite, once again, of the the pressure cooker that is Baltimore. You jump across Allegheny.
That is Tampa, for that matter. But go ahead.
Right. You jump across a couple of rivers, and you're in Pittsburgh, where baseball goes to die. But Brandon Lowe just kind of has that vibe of a guy who's kind of like a Brian Reynolds, and from a few years ago, Adam Frazier. These guys that just accumulate stats because they are good baseball players, but they do it in Pittsburgh where they're just no one cares. And
right.
But I think they're going to love him there. I think he seems like he's a decent guy. Seems like he'd enjoy it, hardworking, So I just think he's going to thrive. Maybe not more so than he did in Tampa, but just he's going to keep being that guy, hit some home runs. And as you've said, second base is a wasteland.
Yeah, we can't wait to talk about second base on this episode.
So I like second baseman.
Yeah, there you go. No, Lowe is interesting. You mentioned a couple of things. I don't want to let go without talking about. One, Pittsburgh is a wonderful baseball town, like out of control great baseball town. They have an owner who is probably the most miserly in baseball, and that's why Pittsburgh is drowned in their own sorrows or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah, all right, Dolan, maybe Cleveland. Fine, it's a competition. How about that? And then the other thing is that, I agree, Lowe, I just hit me. I have a good reference. We grew up, we played Monopoly a ton. And one of the, whatever it is, community chest cards or something like that, is you won second prize in a beauty contest when you win $45. And my mom always used to say it, nobody else entered. Was the, you won second prize, nobody else entered.
I've actually never heard that before.
Yeah, so I think my mom made it up. So the point being that Brandon Lowe, kind of your point, Scott, nobody else entered. Who else is playing second base? Like, as long as you're healthy, you're out there, kid. So we're not really kid because he's old, but you get the point. Anyway, that's a lot of Brandon Lowe, Pittsburgh Duck. I don't really have anything. I'm very sad that Andrew McCutchen, just as a tangent, Andrew McCutchen is going to be a Texas.
Right.
I know he's played for other teams already, but he should play with Pittsburgh. He should be on Pittsburgh. Anyway, okay. Instead, they brought in a drunk wife beater. Okay, there we go. That's better than Andrew McCutchen. That's a choice you're allowed to make. What do we got, Rich Sayre, for your pick to click? Or excuse me, not your pick to click, your hill to die in?
I'll just briefly say I like Lowe. I don't love the ballpark there. That's my main issue with him in fantasy this year. I think that I think some of these luck or park factors have a bigger impact than people like to admit on player performance. But my hill that I'm going to die on is the opposite. I'm going to go negative with this.
Oh, okay.
This seems to be my overarching narrative for this offseason is Munetaka Murakami is going to be bad. I'm sticking to this. If it's significantly wrong, then there's just no point in looking at stats, because the reality is Murakami has bad contact, and it's one thing to say that, but when you actually quantify that, you really understand, I think, the situation here. What?
School us to the game. Be totally sincere. Give us the Japan. You've told me these, so give the viewers at home the Japan.
You throw this out like, well, he's got a ton of power, and we're not sure about the hit tool. That's a totally generic template. But when you look at the actual contact ability, like, compare it to players that he played with in the same league, and when you look at that, he's made less contact the last two seasons than guys that washed out of the majors like Neftali Soto, Domingo Santana, Trey Cabbage, Franmil Reyes, Alheris Montero. These are all guys that have crazy power, but they weren't good enough to play in the majors. And Murakami hit the ball less often than those guys. So he's also 26. Now, that's not old, but it's not young. Right. And when you look at how he's trended, he's kind of leaning toward that old ball player skill set already at 26. Yeah. So these are all things that I don't think are good signs. I think the contract that he got as well is not a good sign of how he was viewed among major league front offices. So I think you see people out here on Twitter or X or whatever saying that he's going to hit 40 or 50 home runs. And I couldn't be farther away from that.
Yeah. He got, if I remember correctly, Rich, he got a 2-year deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2-year deal, maybe $30 million.
Well, yeah, whatever the investment is. But the bottom line, he did. Let's put it this way: he did as many years as Okamoto did, who's older than he is.
Yeah.
Right. Okamoto in the same class, so to speak, of free agents or international free agents or whatever you want to call it.
He's going to play now. One thing, he's going to play all season because in his contract he has to agree to be sent down. So he's going to play all year this year, whatever that looks like. But especially in a Roto scenario, I don't think you're getting a ton of RBIs. I don't think you're getting a lot of runs, and I think your average is gonna get crushed.
It's definitely a risk of you get the power at what costs guy, right? Many people actually refer to Murakami as the William Opeña of Japan. So,
I should have gone back and looked at it.
And if we're going to use the contract as a knock against him, which I totally understand, we also have to use where did he sign? I mean, there's been this far east to LA pipeline for the last few years, and the Dodgers went no thanks, and not just the Dodgers. But presumably, I mean, there may be a few teams that would rather play for less than Chicago, but presumably they are a bottom 5 free agent destination, and that's where he landed. So there's no way to ignore that. Doesn't matter how much you want to say. There's just no way to ignore that.
No, it's our friend of the show, Josh Trayman, talks about this with regards to his player analysis. Is when teams tell you about a player, believe them. Mm-hmm. Like whatever number of teams, to your point, Scott, X number of teams decided. Yeah, that's okay. 230, that's too much. Too rich for our blood.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm going to head on to the hill that I'm going to die on, and it's not – I struggled with this one. I didn't have a great hill to die on for this year. So, and I've never had the platform to espouse this opinion publicly. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going for a historic hill. What do you got, Rich? Or what do you got? You know what I'm about to say, Scotty?
I do.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So as I did the research for this, it didn't turn out to be quite the hot take that I thought it was going to be, but I'm going with it nevertheless. Marcus Lynn Betts has been the best player in baseball since his debut season. This is his first full season, 2015. Now, hear me out, Scott. Actually, this is closer than you think it is. Over the last decade, first of all, we'll give some stats or some accolades, I guess. Over the last decade, he's won 61.2% of his games. So that seems like a good thing. He has the Yankees all time, by the way, have won 56.9%. So he's winning 5% more often than 5 percentage points more often than the Yankees, like the actual New York Yankees do.
Two different teams,
right? Yep. So it's not like he's born out of just success with the Dodgers. He also was wildly successful with the Red Sox. They should have. I wondered what they must have gotten a lot for him, I guess. Anyway, he also has won an MVP. He's finished 3 times an MVP runner-up, but whatever, that's just voting. He also, but this is the interesting part that Scott quit nodding, jerk. He actually is 3rd in Fangraphs WAR among hitters over that period. Lindor, in 102 more games, had him and only has half win more, so functionally the same, if not Betts maybe a hair better, whatever. That's close enough. Doesn't matter. Judge is obviously way ahead. 189 fewer games and 5.6 more wins. So if Judge were given the opportunity to play those 189 games, he'd be like 10 wins ahead, something like that. Maybe actually more than that, maybe. But bottom line is that, let me think, what has Mookie Betts done that Judge hasn't? Oh, right, he's won World Series. Right, yeah, that's right. He's won 4 freaking World Series since he came into the league. He's won 4 all in the last 10 years. 4. That's a lot of World Series, folks. Mookie Betts, God, I hate what I'm about to say. Those of you who know us personally and know our home league and all that kind of stuff, maybe it's fair to say Mookie Betts is the Sean Fenty of Major League Baseball. Like, he's won 4 of the last 10 championships. Like, anyway, all right, that's enough. It's never enough. That's what I'm about to say, but that's enough Mookie Betts for now.
Was a fantastic outfielder. Team needed a shortstop. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no big deal. No bigs. I'll just go play shortstop and be great at it, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Great is a wild thing to say.
Okay. While you're talking, I will look up his defensive run save and absolute average at shortstop last year. But go ahead. Before we do get into the next topic, I do want to just remind everybody, if you can, of course you can, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video. If you're listening to us instead of looking at us, that's a smart decision. But please go ahead and same thing. Whatever platform you're consuming this on, please like and subscribe. Helps us out a lot. We really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to move to now one thing you're already a little bit worried about. Like, you got a little uneasy. What do we got, Mr. Scott? Is that right?
Again, this just feels so chalky. This feels like the obvious pick here, given my fandom and discussions that we've already had, maybe even this offseason. But my worry is Ozzie Albies.
Oh, I thought it was Taylor Ward.
Well, I've never worried about Taylor Ward.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll stop with that.
Not my sweet baby Taylor Ward. I mean, it's well documented. Again, we've discussed it. All of the metrics, all the StatCast metrics, everything, plate discipline, all of it has either plateaued or gotten worse in the last handful of years. He's a defensive liability. He's running out of spots on the diamond. He's not fast anymore.
Right.
And oh, by the way, in spring training, he has the 37th best OPS of anyone who's taken it to bat for the Braves. In case you guys are forgetting, there are 9 guys in the lineup.
37th in Atlanta baseball.
In Atlanta baseball, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, reminding you guys, there are 9 guys in the lineup, which means he is. If there were lines like in hockey, he would be in the 5th line of the Braves line.
Right. Which
he doesn't have a home run.
They only roll 4 lines in hockey, incidentally, for those of you who don't know.
He's hit as many home runs as this podcast combined in spring training.
Nice.
And he's top 15 or I think 17th in guys who have gotten at bats for the Braves in spring training. So I know he played in the WBC, so he missed a little bit of time on that. But I mean, he's come back. He's got the full complement of ABs, and he's just there's no pop. The average isn't good. The on base percentage isn't good. I mean, it's starting to look like. And this is the guy who has a jersey hanging in the closet in there for Ozzie Albies. Ozzie, no, he might be washed.
Okay.
Might be washed.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. And what's funny about what you just got through, I mean, we all, of course, wish nothing but the best to our friend Ozzie Albies from Curacao. But as far as you remember he signed that woefully, it seemed like woefully under market. I forget it was 7 years, $36 million or something like that. It was like super cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many years of his free agency he gave away with that contract, but he got himself $36 million. And like, that's not a bad thing. I'd like $36, much less $36 million.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll take all the dollars I get my hands on.
Fun fact about Ozzie, just because you mentioned about how much money you made and just being a kid from Curacao and and how $36 million is a lot and everything is there was this really neat thing that happened in this past offseason where it snowed in Atlanta, which I guess doesn't happen very often. And Ozzie and his wife posted on social media that it was the first time he had ever seen snow in his life. And so it was just one of those neat things, again, as somebody who has loved Ozzie since he came up as a Brave and has followed some of his off-the-field stuff with Ozzie's Fishes, and he does a lot of cool stuff with dogs and just some cool things like that. Like you said, I just could not be a better guy.
Right.
But just a kind of a good reminder that as we talk about contracts and those sorts of things, that these are real people. We love fantasy baseball and we reduce them down to numbers, but good guy. I hope maybe he digs deep and finds another gear or something like that. But because he's just a phenomenal human being.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Baseball might be maybe he's a fish guy and a dog guy, not a baseball guy.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the last thing, always the interesting part with him is if he isn't a full-time second baseman, he's not probably a major leaguer. Like in other words, if he doesn't have the skills to play second base and the bat to play second base and whatever, like it's not like you can throw him in left field or play him at shortstop or anything. He's lost the foot speed, like you said. Like he's either the Atlanta's full-time second baseman or he's not even really that useful a bench piece. He can't hit if he's not playing second base. In other words, Mookie Betts, by the way, was 8th last year in outs above average on shortstops and 1st in defensive runs saved. So whatever. There, yes, he was really good. All right, what do you got, Rich Sayre, for a guy you're worried about?
I would just like to say I am available to sign $1 million baseball contract or a fantasy baseball contract. I'll just mention that. But the thing that I'm worried about is right now Emmett Sheehan. Big Emmett Sheehan fan. There's some circumstantial evidence creeping up or hearsay, so to speak, but some whispers about there was some rumors, he might become a piggyback guy, follow Shohei or follow Roki. His velocity was down a little bit in the last spring training start. He's got obviously some injury history there. It's got me a little bit on edge. So I'd just really like to see when he gets into real game action, take a look at the StatCast and the actual numbers from the game, and see what we got kind of under the hood there. That's what I'm thinking about. One of the things I'm thinking about.
No, that's fair. Sheehan, you mentioned you might piggyback. I mean, if piggybacks behind Shohei, that's not great. Shohei's stated goal this season is to win the NL Cy Young, and I'm not telling Shohei he can't. If Shohei's stated goal is to go to the moon, like, okay. I'm not going to bet against that guy.
Yeah.
But behind Sasaki, like, you still get into the first inning. So there's that.
Well, that all went away. So he's, I think, starting the second game of the season. As of right now. So
but we'll see. He's 100% sure he's lined up to be the number and start thinking. We'll see. Yeah. You got anything on Sheehan real quick, Scotty, or not so much?
No, a guy that I've kind of heated and cooled on a couple of times over the course of the last couple of years. Kind of gets the Dodgers bump, gets the Dodgers kind of seal of trust. But there's some concerning signs there for sure.
Yeah, significantly diminished velocity. I think he was down to like 92 on his fastball in his last start. Now that might be more noise than signal, but it ain't good.
Yeah, I don't know why that got singled out, because virtually every starter, if you look at the velo that was locked into a rotation spot, was down 1 or 2 miles an hour. So
interesting. Okay,
I'm not sure in their last start. I'm not sure why that got singled out, but it did.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Yeah. All right, so my guy that I'm worried about is none other than, again, friend of the show, Eric Polsky's guy, James Wood. So James Wood, I'm not real excited about this one. Well, of course, I'm not excited about any guy that I'm worried about. I hope they'll do really well. Of course, it's not possible for everybody to do really well. Somebody's got to be doing poorly in order for somebody to do well in baseball, but that's another discussion altogether. His second half of 2025, James Wood, 223, 301, 388. So what is that, like a 160 ISO for a not only power guy, but mostly power guy? And again, what was that, 689 OPS in spite of a 362 BABIP. Like, not great. And 93 WRC plus. And get this, 39% strikeout rate. Again, Spencer Jones is embarrassed. 39%, not great. Spring training 2026, 125, 222, 250. 1 homer, 35.2% K rate, 15 WRC plus, which I can only assume is an homage to Dustin Pedroia. So James Wood, again, for the kids' sake, just what we talked about with Albies, certainly we were wishing him the best, and I hope all this is just noise, not signal. But for the kids' sake, I sure hope it's not true, but this suddenly has like a lot of Jason Hayward with all of that fussy defensive value vibe to it. Like, phenomenal rookie year. Hit for a bunch of power, had some speed, because this guy's going to be a stud for years to come. Suddenly strikes out a ton, hits a bunch of ground balls. At least Hayward is a phenomenal defender, at least. He wasn't the offensive threat we all thought he would be. With James Woods, at least to date, he's like a below average, not atrocious. He's not Pete Alonso. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, striking out 39 and 35.2% of the time over a still small sample size, but not like super small. Doesn't seem great. So, I don't know. We'll see. Any quick thoughts on James Wood, guys? No.
For me, he's very young, obviously, still. There was, I think, some legitimate optimism that all the changes around the Nationals would be a positive thing. They were terrible the last few seasons. They were terrible, worse, more terrible at the end of each year. So, hopefully that hasn't had a lasting impact on him. For all the people that say it's easy to change a player's swing, he's got tremendous bat speed, and he can't hit a pull home run, I think, to save his life. Right. So that's a question mark. There's a lot of question marks. We'll see how it plays out.
No, none of us would be surprised if he went out and led the National League in home runs this year. Like, not even a little bit, but none of us would be surprised if he led the National League in strikeouts or was leading the National League in strikeouts. Okay, we would be surprised, but we would be shocked if he was the league leader in the National League in strikeouts and got demoted. Like, none of us would be like, holy shit, I can't believe that happened. We would be like, oh crap, like, now we're really worried. All right, last we're going to close on is opening day preview, so to speak. 2 players for each of us that you can't wait to see on, we're going to call it day 1, but it's like their first game or first series of the season, whatever you want to call it. So, Mr. Scott, who you got for opening day player 1?
Opening day player one guy I'm super excited to see, a guy you and I have talked about quite a bit, Didier. Just a guy who has absolutely been untouchable in spring training. A little bit of unsure. I kept thinking about him as, do I want him to be a breakout? Do I want him to be the guy that's going to be picked up in 12-teamers?
Right.
And he certainly fits as an opportunity in both of those cases. The only reason I didn't is because it's a little unclear exactly how the Braves are going to use him. Right. Obviously, they've softly committed to Raisel Iglesias as closer, but Robert Suarez is there. I mean, there's just a lot of questions because he seems like he kind of could be the closer in waiting, but then they signed some guys. So, and then it's like, well, then is he going to be in the starting rotation, which it seems like he should be, especially given the injuries, but they're using him as a reliever. So there's a little bit of question mark around role and usage, and he's young. The Braves love that, jumping guys up to the majors thing. Yeah. So, all the pieces are there for him to be awesome. So I don't care when and how. I am just so stoked to see that bullpen door open or however role he's used. And I'd love to see him on opening day, come jogging out of there, throwing hundos and making guys look.
Fuentes incidentally is from Colombia, and this is a super lazy comp, but I think I've mentioned to you before, Scotty, he gives me a lot of Julio Teheran vibes. Like also Colombian, which, so again, maybe I'm just being ridiculously lazy. I'm always ridiculously lazy. It's just leaving a little bit of surprise. Hopefully my employer is not listening to this. My other employer, sorry, Joe Bond. Mr. Sayre, what do you got? What are you looking forward to on opening day, sir?
So my situation I'm anxious to get a look at is Tampa Bay's bullpen. I'm a big Griffin Jacks guy. I'd love to see him grab that closer role and run with it. I think he's got the skills to do it. I don't know if the manager has the intent to use him that way exactly. I think Uceda, I don't believe is going to be ready, but he's going to be in the mix at some point in April. But I'm excited to see how that shakes out at the beginning of the season. So that's one thing I'll be taking a look at. They're playing the Cardinals. I think there'll be at least one safe chance. So we'll see what happens.
Rich Sayre with the hottest take, which kind of is actually there will be a save chance for Tampa on opening weekend.
At least one.
That is a ridiculously specific take. So all right, my opening weekend, whatever you call it, is none other than shocker, Matt Emmett Bangs, right? Matt McLean, erstwhile second baseman, not erstwhile. Why am I saying that? Second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds, was nothing short of a revelation in his rookie year. And then he had I think it was a back injury or something like that, or he got injured in the offseason.
Yeah.
What's that, shoulder?
I think so.
Yeah, he had some sort of, anyway, bottom line is he missed all of 2024 and then reportedly was not fully healthy last year and he wasn't terrible, but he's fine. Like he's not certainly not a fantasy asset, and especially not a 12-team format. So honestly, who knows? The thing is, spring training stats are, friend of the show, not really, Keith Law, says spring training stats don't mean anything at all. Pay no attention, whatever. But this wasn't just like a hot spring. This was out of control. 301 WRC plus. 301. Rich, you're going to cite the 526 BABIP. I will counter with the 490 ISO. 490. Anytime your ISO is within 36 points of your BABIP, you're either killing it or you're pretty much out of baseball. Like that's one either your slug is, your ISO rather is so low, or your BABIP or your ISO is so high. That's the only opportunities. But I don't know. I just want to know what we've got here. I'm going to make, Scott, you'll appreciate this one. I'm going to make another, it's my favorite game, ridiculously specific comp. So in their 2025 annual, our friends over at Baseball Prospectus, not 2005 annual. Our friends over at Baseball Prospectus said that Marcus Giles, don't be stunned if he wins an MVP award in the next 3 years. Is Matt McLean going to win an MVP award in the next 3 years? Almost certainly not. Like 99.999% chance not. But I do like the comp. Like Marcus Giles played great defense, had some pop, and ran, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. I just hope Matt McLean will. Again, we all hope they all do well. It's not possible for all of them to do well, but I certainly hope Matt McLean has a healthy season. How about that? So real quick before we get to our last player, I just want to mention our fantasy six-pack plans. I can't recommend highly enough. If you head to actually I answered some questions today on our Discord at fantasy6pack. Well, that's not the Discord, but go to fantasy6pack.net/plans. You can get our award rankings, our DFS stuff, our betting projections. It's on the screen right now. Who knew? Anyway, go to dffantasysixpack.com or fantasysixpack.net, /plans and sign up today. Can't recommend it highly enough. Like I said, I handed out some words of wisdom, or at least I hope are words of wisdom today on our Discord to some subscribers as far as their fantasy advice and what they were looking for. I actually will give you guys one of the curious for your take on this, Rich. One of the subscribers asked, this is a perfect 12-team redraft question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a points league, okay? Pretty similar to our home league. Do you prefer Kevin McGonigal or Caleb Durbin? And what's your good choice there?
I saw that question. Points league.
Yeah.
I think I'm going Caleb Durbin this season.
Yeah.
I think
I did too. Full disclosure.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think the park fits him pretty well there, and he's got a nice spot in the lineup. McGonigal, he could outperform him. I think there's probably more upside. And I fall into this trap a lot as the prospect guy at Fantasy Six Pack, but the prospects don't always pan out the way you think they do, especially in their first season. So right now, JJ Weatherholt looks great. Kevin McGonigal looks great.
Yeah. Leo DeVries, I think we'll see towards the end of the season. No, I was just saying as far as spring stats, I would
imagine. But it's difficult to rely on those types of players to carry your fantasy team.
Right. So, in a redraft format, I think it's Durbin. I don't even know if it's especially close. I think it's Durbin. In a redraft points format, you get the points for the doubles, you get the points for the steals, that kind of stuff, whatever. So
I've always been the low person on Kevin McGonigal as well. Now he's still in my top 10. But I found it very interesting is that he accessed a ton of power in AA last season by pulling the ball in the air. Okay, duh. But he doesn't have huge raw power. And that's not as easy to execute against major league pitching as it is against AA pitching when you're not hammering it 400 plus feet. So that's something that'll be interesting to see. His a lot of his contact metrics went down at that stop while the power was going through the roof. So we'll see.
Yeah, Kevin McGonigal might be, who knows? Maybe Chase Utley. I don't know. Whatever. Except for playing shortstop. Like, who knows? He also might be Howie Kendrick. Another guy who had huge hit tool, supposedly, right? Peter Gammons once said he's going to win multiple batting titles.
That's true. That's a good reference.
Yeah, and Howie Kendrick, we had a wonderful career, won a World Series with the Nats, all that stuff, whatever. But any ball player coming up through the minor leagues, hey, you can have Howie Kendrick's career, or you can take a chance on yourself. Most of them are, actually, they probably take a chance on themselves. They're all arrogant bastards. But the wise choice would be to
smart money might be,
right. The wise choice would take Howie Kendrick's career. Like, he made probably $50 million and won a World Series. Like, that seems like fun. Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, let's get on to our next. Oh, actually, no. What am I saying? We're cycling back. Where are we, guys? I'm sorry.
Opening day player 1.
No, I know the opening day player 1, but we talked about opening day player 2. Because I've already talked
about
player
we
1.
have not. No. You want player 1? And we're ready for 2. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for the confusion, everyone. All right. So, what do you got for your opening day player 2? Quickly, Scott.
Once again, just chalky stuff. Ronald Acuna Jr. Back on the field. An off season. The best player in baseball, actually. Not Mookie Betts, but it's Ronald Acuna Jr. No, the most exciting. I think truly the most exciting player. Truly the most exciting player in baseball when he's healthy. The last time he played in the World Baseball Classic, he went 40-70. So there's just a lot of expectation, a lot of ceiling, and I just think obviously baseball's better when Ronnie's healthy and playing and loving life and all those sorts of things. So you just can't get enough of talking about the guy, watching the guy. I just like watching him play baseball. Baseball's better with it. And so Ronald Acuna Jr. playing baseball is the best kind of baseball to watch. Yeah, I agree. That's most exciting player. I don't know. Obviously, that depends on what excites you, but bottom line is that certainly in the discussion, Acuna also, you said the 40-70, the last time he played the World Baseball Classic. I don't know if that's correlation, but let's go with it. Let's run with it. For those of you who are basketball fans, just briefly,
Victor Wembanyama, I was talking to again for Eric Colsey's getting a lot of run on this show. I was talking to him about Wemby has like literally no ceiling. Like that guy could average like 32 points and 16 rebounds next year, and people would just be like, "Oh, that's what Wemby's doing now." I guess that's Acuna. Like Acuna could run it back 40. So he can go 50, 100, and it'd be like, "Oh, I guess this is what Acuna did this year." But anyway, the bottom line is Acuna certainly baseball is better when Acuna is healthy. Nobody can dispute that. Rich, what do you got for your opening day?
Briefly, I'm going to cheat a little bit here because this player is not going to appear in the opening series, but I'm anxious to see Ryan Weathers in the Yankees rotation. I want to see how he plays out once the games start to matter. Really different, really divergent elements with amazing stuff metrics, incredible velocity that he's thrown with this spring, and horrific actual results. Balls put into play. So, is he tinkering? Is he playing around with the mix? Is he trying different things? Or are people just slamming what he's got? I'm anxious to see what happens.
How's his location looking?
It's been, I think, mid like C's. Okay. I think he's been all over the place. So that's another thing that we'd like to see.
Yeah, Ryan Weathers. So Ryan Weathers gets the Ricky Vaughn Memorial Award for when they go behind the manager Lowe and the other dude stand behind next to him at home plate. All right, let's see what you got, kid. You better teach us getting some control before he kills somebody. So maybe that's Ryan Weathers. All right, my pick for opening day. Again, this will be a shocker to those of you who know me. Matthew Liberatore. We're going Matt McClain and Matthew Liberatore back to back. So Spider-Man.meme. Or dot whatever, yes, Spider-Man. So, Rich, I actually legitimately, I've been waiting pretty much all day to ask you this, and I mean this totally sincerely because I know you're not a huge Matthew Liberatore fan. Actually, you're a huge not Matthew Liberatore fan.
Yeah.
But real quick, can you pull up his spring training stats and just tell me where the fluke is? Because I mean that totally sincere, not like haha sucker or whatever. I genuinely am curious.
Spring training?
It's ridiculously small samples, whatever it is, 16 innings or something like that. So that's where the fluke is. But his spring training stats, I can't read them as well as you can. And again, ridiculous 15 innings, ridiculously small sample size. But a 30.4 K minus walk percentage seems good. Like 30.4 is a pretty damn big number. And 239 FIP also seem good. He's the hammer curveball. I'm gonna invoke the curveball to handle curveballs, and Clayton Kershaw. He legitimately looks like a damn Clayton Kershaw curveball, and he doesn't. Minor details. He doesn't have Clayton Kershaw fastball or slider or changeup. Not even a little bit. But the curveball does kind of, go check out some Liberatore stuff on Twitter or whatever. Like I'm telling you, the curveball's there. Now, to your point, Rich, if you have a plus pitch and it's not your fastball, so what? But what do you got for me, Rich? What do you got for me on the Liberatore?
The actual stats and the underlying information looks very good. It looks like literally a different player. This should belong on a different player's page than any of the other statistics for Matthew Liberatore of his career in the major leagues. So that would be something I would want to investigate a little bit further. Again,
wanting to see him on opening day, which he is literally the opening day starter of the Cards.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. So actually, we liberally want to see it. Okay. All right. That was a horrible take. All right. Enough. Two guys, one row. Presented by Fantasy Six Pack. Scott, thanks as always for joining us, sir. Say something. We also are a podcast.
Howie Kendrick made $71 million in his career.
Howie Kendrick, $71 million. That's literally more than everybody who's going to consume this podcast, presumably, unless Howie Kendrick, combined will make. So if Howie Kendrick, if you're listening, you've got to tweet us or something. Come on, Howie. Like, do you boys a solid. All right, Rich, anything real quick?
No, enjoyed this one. Looking forward to the season. That's an understatement. Really excited to see this get going.
Yep, and I can't wait to see my New York Yankees open tomorrow night. I can't wait to watch that game on. Oh yeah, it's on Netflix. So hopefully they'll mail me a DVD and I can watch it. All right, that's great. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again. 2 guys, 1 Roto.